Hi, it's David in the Stained Glass Studio. Today I'm going to show you some um, detailed photos of an advanced technique. This is how we go about building a stained glass window with no pattern. Now, when I say no pattern, I mean we didn't cut out an actual pattern and trace around the window. We do have a pattern, and you'll see that I'm using it, but it's only the one that's down on the table. Anyhow, this is pretty self-explanatory. As we go through, step by step, you'll understand the process, and it's a pretty good process. You'll love doing if you ever happen to do some maybe kitchen cabinets or something of that nature. So I'll show you that, and then I'll be back with my my closing remarks. To cut a window without using a pattern will save you a great deal of time if the design is fairly simple. This technique works best when the glass being cut is very translucent. Opaque glass requires a light box and a pattern with very dark lines to be able to use this technique. So, start by laying out the glass on the pattern right on the lines that it's going to be cut on. Next, dip your cutter in oil and then run your cutter over the line where the glass is to be cut, scoring the glass. In this pattern, we had a center line where the cut was to be and two layout lines to ensure that the copper foil would be as wide as the client wanted it to be. Tap the scored glass from underneath, right below the score, to run the score. When working with large sheets of glass, we like to leave the big part on the table and hang on to the piece we're breaking off so a large piece doesn't have to come crashing down on the table. Soon, the piece will part from the rest of the glass. Lay down the glass onto the pattern to ensure that things stay where they ought to, and score the next piece of glass. Tap it till it breaks loose of the sheet. Line things up again and score another piece of glass. Keep whittling away until all the glass cuts have been scored. If there were any different colors of glass, we'd be cutting each of them one at a time, but this pattern is all out of the same color, so it's pretty easy to get each piece out of the same sheet of glass, making it the perfect example of when this technique should be used. Here's the entire panel laid out. Next, we grind all the pieces so they're smooth, and to add that little bit of extra room between them so they'll fit after the foil is applied. Then we add the copper foil to the panel just like we do to any other stained glass project. Finally, the completed panel gets installed into the cabinet it was built for. And so I hope you enjoyed that. That was pretty fun. So now let's talk about what we just saw. We saw the different steps to cutting a sheet of glass into the design that then finally was placed into the cabinets. It looked great. Now, That's a pretty advanced technique, and the reason it's advanced is because you have to be able to hold a very steady hand as you're cutting. You gotta be able to cut all those pieces and stay right on the line. So that's why it takes a little practice in order to do it. Listen, Jeannie's working. Here's some of the stained glass that she's doing on this mosaic, and there have been a couple of people who have joined us on Patreon to help us out, and we really appreciate that. And if you're interested in knowing more about what's going on here in the studio, getting more patterns, just getting more training, we'd love to have you join us on Patreon and help us out. We're taking the money that we get from Patreon and buying supplies. There's thousands of dollars invested in this particular project, but we only got awarded half of what we needed. So, I guess we're kind of begging for for some help. But anyhow, we really appreciate any help and advice you'd want to give. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time.